What's up, y'all? Thank you so much for clicking into this video. My name is Joy if you're new here, and if you're not, welcome back. Thank you for coming back again. I appreciate it so much. Today, we're going to be talking about all the books that I want to read in the last half of the year. I cannot believe that it is June already. I feel like 2025 is moving so fast. Like, girl, can you give me a chance to settle in? It was just January 10 minutes ago. Like, what's going on? Anyway, if you're interested in seeing the books that I want to get to in the last half of the year, then stay tuned. Y'all, I'm not gonna lie. I've been having a great reading year so far. I feel like the more I'm on my reading journey, my reading habit, my reading hobby, if you will, the more I'm able to see the types of books that I really enjoy reading. And I feel like that's why I'm having like such a strong reading year, because I'm really leaning into that. And the shock of the year so far is that I'm like obsessed with fantasy. It's becoming one of my favorite genres. But all that being said, I definitely have a different mix. Y'all know what I say, a bop is a bop. And that includes books too. So there's definitely different genres that I'm going to get into. Everything is not fantasy, I promise y'all. Most of it might be, but not everything. Anyway, let's get right into it. Now y'all know it wouldn't be me if I ain't have my list written down to reference. So if you see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at. Girl, I don't even know where to set it down at. Hold on. Okay, so the first, actually, I'm not going to say first. These are not in order. This is just the list of what I want to get into. We're going to kick it off with a reread of The Will of the Many by James Arlington. That was one of my favorite books of 2024. I read it at the end of last year, I think in November or December, and I was so obsessed, y'all. Like, I had to reread the last couple of pages because I'm like, what just happened? It was so good. I'm so excited for the sequel that comes out on, I think, November 11th of this year, and it's called The Strength of the Few by James Arlington. I'm really excited to get into that. The Hierarchy series, which is what it's called, follows Vis, who is pretty much putting on a front as he infiltrates the hierarchical system, which runs on the will of the lower class people. And one thing, I'm not going to rant about every book, I promise, but one thing I want to say about The Will of the Many is that I really love the way James Arlington was able to weave in, how the government and the upper class and the 1% or whatever really leeches off of those at the bottom. And I think that is a fantastic book, especially for the day and age that we're in. Definitely something that I think people should read. So yes, a reread of The Will of the Many, and then at some point, I don't know if I'm going to jump right in to The Strength of the Few. It seems like it takes a couple of years for these books to come out, so I just know it's going to leave us on a cliffhanger, and I don't know. We'll see how I'm feeling, but those are definitely two books that I'm excited to I'm for sure going to reread The Will of the Many, but let's see if I jump into The Strength of the Few right after. Next up, we're definitely going to finish reading through John Gwynn's catalog, and that starts with the series of Blood and Bone, and with the Bloodsworn saga of Blood and Bone is a series that comes after The Faithful and the Fallen. It's about 100 years or so after The Faithful and the Fallen. I already read the first book of Blood and Bone series, which is called A Time of Dread, and it just brings me back all of the feels that I love from The Faithful and the Fallen. And I just love the way John Gwynn writes his character. So very excited to finish that trilogy and then jump into the Bloodsworn saga, which follows Orca as she's on a quest to rescue her son that was taken from her. As y'all know, I like to go into books knowing as minimal as possible, but absolutely love John Gwynn. Can't wait to complete all of his books, and then I'll be giving y'all a video about that as well. But those are definitely two that I have to finish this year. Next up, for sure, I have to read Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. I've absolutely loved the Skyland series thus far. It's a 3-book trilogy. Hopefully, oh gosh.
He needs some
Now I be choking. Anyway, hopefully Kennedy will give us a little bit more of the Skyline series, a novella or something. But Can't Get Enough follows our girl Hendrix and her love story with Maverick. And I just can't wait to get into it. One thing about Kennedy Ryan is that she is going to layer her stories with real life issues, and that just makes it feel like so much more relatable and real. So I absolutely love Kennedy Ryan's writing. I've loved this series, and I can't wait to read the rest of this series. Next up, I definitely want to finish the Red Rising trilogy, and I started it on a whim, and I'll give my full review on everything about the Red Rising series once I'm done with it. But I read Red Rising, and as it stands right now, I just started Morning Star. I read Golden Sun too. Like, I've been rocking and rolling. So definitely want to finish the Red Rising trilogy and possibly go into the next half of it. I don't know yet, but let's just say I drank the Kool-Aid. I did. But yes, definitely excited to finish that series. I'm having fun with it so far. One thing for sure, I have to read through some of the amazing arcs that I have. And for those that may not know, an arc is an acronym for Advanced Reader Copy, and I've been blessed to be given some amazing copies. And if you're interested in reading arcs and you don't have a NetGalley account, what are we doing? What are we doing? Make that NetGalley account. Y'all, if you hear some noise, it's because somebody is honking their horn like crazy outside, and I don't know what's going on. The first arc that I really want to get to is The Wilderness by Angela Flournoy. Flournoy? I hope I'm saying her last name right. But The Wilderness follows four girlfriends as they navigate motherhood, career, marriage, and it takes place in New York City and Los Angeles. And I'm really excited to see this exploration of Black girlfriendhood. I love my girls. So I'm really excited to dive into this story and just see if there's anything that I can relate to on a personal level. First of all, the cover is gorgeous. And I've seen some really strong reviews about it, so I'm definitely excited to get into this one. I feel like my hair is growing by the minute. It's just getting so big and puffy. Anyways, the next arc that I'm super excited to get into is The Macabre by Kosako Jackson. And this is his adult debut fantasy, so I'm really excited to support this journey of his. This book follows a struggling painter named Louis Davis as he discovers that his art has this haunting quality to it, and that there are buyers in London that will do anything to get their hands on these paintings or destroy them. I don't know. It sounds creepy, but kind of cool, and the cover is incredible. So I'm really excited to dive into this and just see what it's about. As y'all know, I like to keep it to a minimum, but it definitely seems like an intriguing book. And like I said, a Bible's about I'll read anything. So really excited to dive into this. And this one comes out in September, so you'll definitely hear me give some type of feedback before then. Next up, now I know I gotta roll my sleeves up for this one. So I know this series that I'm about to say is very dense. It's very big. I don't foresee myself reading through it if I enjoy it this year. But The Dandelion Dynasty by Ken Liu is definitely a series that I want to at least start this year with the first book, which is The Grace of Kings. I've heard nothing but good things about this series and that it's really underrated. But I'm super excited to dive into it. It is a silk punk Chinese inspired fantasy. It's inspired by the Han Dynasty in China. It follows the two main characters as they try to overthrow a corrupt government, and then what happens in the aftermath as they decide that they have two different set of ideals. I'm really excited to dive into this story. I don't know much about the Han Dynasty, so this will probably has already piqued my interest, honestly, for me to dig a little bit deeper. Because that's one thing about it. If something is interesting to me, I'm definitely going to dig into my own research because I like to have me a little knowledge always about a bunch of little things tucked. You feel me? But really excited to dive into the Dandelion Dynasty, or well, at least start it this year. The next book that I'm super excited to start in the last half of the year that just recently came out today, actually on June 3rd, is A Song of Legends Lost by M.H. Allende. And when I tell y'all, you ever look at a cover and be like, yeah, I need that? That's how I felt about this book. And then I read an excerpt of it and I was like, nah, I need this. So A Song of Legends Lost follows takes place in a world where the upper class is able to call on the power of their ancestors to help them fight in battles and things like that, but it's only supposed to be for the upper class. And then of course here comes somebody who's in a lower class that's also able to have this power, but not only the ancestors are able to be invoked. I have heard that it has a large cast of characters similar to a Game of Thrones, a Song of Ice and Fire type feel, and I absolutely loved A Game of Thrones, the TV show. I have yet to read the books. That's definitely on my list. I wish Mr. George, you know what, we're not even gonna go there. This is about A Song of Legends Lords. But really excited to get into this book. Probably will hear about it sooner rather than later because it came out today. Waiting for my copy to arrive. But yeah, this is definitely, I feel like it's going to be one of them ones. Next up, we're going to dip our toes into the historical fiction bag. And I love historical fiction. And I'm so excited to read The Filling Station by Vanessa Miller. And this book follows two sisters as they figure out life after the tragic events of the Tulsa Massacre in 1921. So I've learned a lot about the Tulsa Massacre over the years. And, it's one of those things that I did not learn about in school. Let me put it like that. And one thing about me, I love historical fiction because, especially Black historical fiction, because there's so many untold stories about Black history in America, and the work and the research that these authors put into these books. And then they put the research and stuff at the end too, so you could dig into it on your own. Is so phenomenal. So I'm really excited to further learn more about the Tulsa Massacre through this historical fiction and really get into Vanessa Miller's writing. She has another book about the Kingdom of the Happy Land, and I'm really excited to dive into at some point as well. Really excited to read The Filling Station and, see what it's about. Next up, I have to at least start the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin, and I've heard that this entire series is written in such a unique way. It's such a unique storyline. N.K. Jemisin has really, I don't know how many times can I say the word unique. Unique, but that's the best way to describe it. But each book in this trilogy has won several awards, and N.K. Jemisin is really highly regarded as a pioneer, a trailblazer, a changer of the fantasy genre. And so I'm really excited to dive into her work, and I feel like the Broken Earth trilogy, really, it's going to be one of them ones. I'm really excited to dive into N.K. Jemisin's work. And last but not least, I want to dive into The Kimoni Legacy by Omari Richards, and this is an indie author. Sounds very intriguing. He described it as a Song of Ice and Fire type feel, and like I said earlier, I love that type of epicness in a story. So the Kimoni Legacy follows three siblings as they face an unknown threat to their land, and then the secrets that come up, and as they try to protect their homeland. So I'm really excited to dive into this. Definitely we'll give some feedback and give a review because we need to boost up our Black indie authors, especially in the fantasy and sci-fi space. So really excited to dive into this book and see what's tea. All right, y'all. So as you can see, I got a lot that I want to read in the last half of the year. I've already read 26 books so far, so I feel like I could squeeze another 20 at least in this year. So really excited to see how much of this list I get into. But as always, if y'all have any suggestions or if there's anything that you want to chat about, leave it down in the caption below. I hope that you will like, comment, and subscribe. No, hold on. You know that 70% of y'all be watching my videos and don't subscribe. I don't understand what the problem is. Y'all don't want me to be a famous content creator? Nah, I'm joking. But if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if there's any videos that you want to see from me. Also, let me know if any of these books are interesting to you, or if you've read them. Let me know your thoughts down below. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Happy reading. Bye.